Have you ever felt this profound sense of relief the moment the sun finally goes down? While the rest of the world is winding down, settling into bed and turning off the lights, do you suddenly feel this distinct sense of clarity? If you've ever felt misunderstood by a society that constantly glorifies early risers, or if you've been told your sleep schedule is just plain wrong, well, you're in exactly the right place. Welcome. Today we're exploring the fascinating psychology of the solitary intellect.
Okay, let's dive into this. Do you find yourself most alive when the world is actually asleep? For most people, nighttime is strictly for recharging, right? Just resting up so they can function the next day. But for you, while everyone else is powering down, your mind is literally just starting to wake up. It's as if a mental fog lifts the very second the world goes quiet. And this isn't just some random quirk of your personality. It's actually a highly documented psychological phenomenon.
Society loves to slap labels on things it doesn't quite understand. You've probably been called just a night owl, or, let's be honest, antisocial, but psychology tells us a completely different story. Preferring your own company at night is actually a massive indicator of cognitive independence and a highly complex mind. Finding peace in the silence of the night is fundamentally a psychological survival strategy. Your brain is simply adapting to a world that feels way too loud during the day.
Section 1. Reallocating cognitive bandwidth. Think about the chaotic, rapid-fire daytime experience for a second. The moment you step out your front door, you're hit with noise, traffic, conversations, demands, and endless visual clutter. Your brain is just racing to process it all. The reality is, our human brains have a strictly limited amount of mental energy to spend every single day. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly where that limited mental energy goes. During the sunlit hours, you're spending massive amounts of bandwidth just managing social expectations, reacting to an endless stream of digital notifications, and navigating surface-level small talk. For highly intelligent people, this constant daytime stimulation isn't just annoying, it is incredibly mentally expensive.
Let's slow down for a second and really define this. Cognitive bandwidth is essentially your limited daily mental capacity. When you choose to stay up late in those quiet hours, you're engaging in absolutely vital digital and social detachment. You aren't running away from the world, actually you're strategically reclaiming your mental energy. You're saving your cognitive bandwidth for things that actually matter to you, like learning, creating, and thinking deeply without a single distraction pulling you away.
Section 2. High social sensitivity. So, every human being requires nervous system recovery time, but the length and quality of that recovery vary wildly from person to person. Some of us are simply wired with a naturally more sensitive nervous system. And because it's more sensitive, it drains significantly faster under the glaring lights of daytime interactions. High social sensitivity means your nervous system is basically working overtime. You aren't just hearing words, you're processing every subtle tone of voice, every micro-expression of emotion, and every subtle logic shift in a room. So the crucial point is this. Social situations, even super small, seemingly casual ones, drain you faster because your brain is burning significantly more energy during the day than the average person. You're processing a literal mountain of invisible data that others just completely ignore.
And because of that high mental expense of the daytime, the emotional reset of nighttime becomes absolutely critical. The silence of the night serves as a vital reset for your emotional baseline. It allows your mind to finally, truly recover from the overwhelming noise of other people. This isn't just a quirky preference for staying up late. It's a necessary, non-negotiable psychological requirement for your well-being.
Section 3. The incubation effect.
Let's get into the mechanics of how this quiet time actually fuels creativity. When the pressure to be productive in that traditional corporate sense, or the pressure to be social completely disappears, wow, something amazing happens to gifted minds. They don't just work faster in the dark, they work much, much deeper. Psychologists call this the incubation effect. It's this deep thinking state where your mind finally has the wide open space to wander. Without the rigid demands of daytime, you unlock multidimensional thinking. Your brain starts connecting hidden thoughts and abstract concepts that everyone else just completely misses. This is exactly why your absolute best, most innovative ideas always seem to pop up at 2 a.m.
Now, what's really interesting here is how this completely flips a common societal judgment. Society looks at your late nights and labels it a messy sleep schedule, right? But the psychological reality is selective organization. Your brain is making a very deliberate choice. It's prioritizing deep, uninterrupted idea generation over conforming to the rigid, arbitrary structure of a 9-to-5 world. You aren't disorganized, you're simply optimizing for a completely different kind of productivity.
Section 4. Internal validation. Think about it.
The average person heavily relies on external validation. They crave the spotlight, social approval, the immediate feedback of daytime interactions just to feel seen and valued. But the solitary night owl, you operate on an entirely different mechanism of self. When you're alone at night, there is zero forced performance. You don't have to smile if you don't want to, you don't have to host, or be on, or mold your personality to fit someone else's expectations. This absolute freedom allows you to maintain incredible emotional balance. Why? Because your self-worth isn't up for negotiation. It isn't fluctuating based on the reactions of an audience.
Existence doesn't need an announcement. I really want you to let that sink in for a moment. To a highly complex, internally validated mind, you don't need a crowd to feel valued. You don't need to broadcast your worth to the world during the daytime for it to be real. Your existence, your intellect, and your value are entirely self-contained.
Let's move to Section 5, Protecting Your Silence, and see how this all builds together.
If you've recognized your own lived experience today, I want to be very, very clear with you. You are not weird. You are not broken. And you are certainly not lazy. In fact, psychology suggests you're part of a very small group. Only about 2% of people truly thrive in this kind of deep, nighttime solitude. You're part of a rare demographic that thinks deeper, processes information more heavily, and feels more intensely than the rest of the world is often prepared to handle.
Your preference for the night is the hallmark of a gifted mind. It's a mind that inherently values truth over popularity. You seek genuine understanding in the quiet rather than the loud, superficial agreements of the daytime crowd.
It's a mind that chooses depth over rituals. You bypass the everyday, mundane routines of society because your cognitive bandwidth is reserved for profound exploration. This is your core identity, and it is a profound strength.
So, the absolute best advice you can take away from this explainer is to protect that silence. Do not let society guilt you into giving up the environment where your brain functions best. That quiet, solitary time, that's where your true growth happens. It is your ultimate psychological advantage.
I'll leave you with this provocative thought. How will you use your psychological superpower in the silence of tonight? Will you build, will you learn, or will you simply allow yourself to recover? If you want to keep decoding the hidden psychology behind your personality and intelligence, make sure you subscribe. We're dedicated to making complex minds understandable. Stay aware, stay focused, and I'll see you in the next explainer.